Welcome back to In Case You Missed It Wrestling. I am your host, Blackhawk, and we have a crazy Monday Night Raw to get to. A lot happened, but I want to make you known of a few changes we're going to make around here. The backstage promos, we're going to cut down into more of a summary and a synopsis instead of going line for line. I realized not a ton of things that are pertinent for the future happen in these events, so there was no need to go line for line on them. And we will be adding ratings to the matches so you can kind of get an idea of where my head's at for these events and what's going on in them. But yeah, we have a crazy Monday Night Raw before the Rumble. So let's go ahead and dive in. Seth Rollins would kick us off with a promo in the ring saying that it's his favorite time of the year because it's almost WrestleMania season. This Sunday, we have the Royal Rumble, and I've got to be honest with you, 2025 has started out real bad for me. Let me take you back to the debut on Netflix. I'm laying here, right here in this ring against this rope, suffering the most embarrassing loss of my career. I got a black eye the size of Georgia. I got blood coming out of my head. In that moment, I thought to myself, who are you? Talking to myself, who am I? Who do I want to be? I'll tell you who I am. I'm Seth freaking Rollins. I stand up. When I know who I am the most focused version of myself, and it'll start at the Rumble. He says he doesn't care who is in the Rumble. He's throwing them over. John Cena, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk especially, and Roman Reigns. They're all going over, and Seth will be victorious. He said he especially wants to toss Roman Reigns over to crush his WrestleMania dreams. That he's got a mission. The question is, after the Rumble, who is he going to face? The Ring General Gunther or Cody Rhodes? He would ask the crowd to decide before Gunther would make his appearance. He would ask Gunther if he's keeping the World Heavyweight Championship warm for him. Gunther would respond with, "Warm? You really think I'm just keeping this warm for you? I have a question for you. Where have you been for the last few months?" Well, I know where I've been. On Saturday, I've been in San Antonio, Texas, defending the World Heavyweight Championship against that clown. But I know where you've been, whining and crying and complaining about all the soap opera drama that you are involved in. You've forgotten what really matters in this company. And so if you could cancel out all that noise and focus on the Royal Rumble, even I'm unsure if you still got it. Seth would respond with, "That title that you're wearing, the World Heavyweight Championship, wouldn't exist without me. It's not synonymous with the Ring General Gunther. It's synonymous with Seth freaking Rollins. With all due respect to the people you've beaten, I am not those people." Gunther will respond by saying, "I know who you are. You're one of the best to ever work for this company. Ever since you stepped foot into this company, you've been one of the best. You've achieved all the accolades and had so many memorable moments. But let me tell you, in 2025, you are not the best wrestler in this company anymore. I am. Please go and win the Royal Rumble and please challenge me. Please face me at WrestleMania. I'm going to make you feel the way everyone feels in that ring with me. Lying on your back, looking up the lights, you've got to realize that there's only one name synonymous with the World Heavyweight Championship, and it's mine." We would get a Logan Paul entrance right after that, which would lead to a little funny segment that was definitely unintentional. His music would hit, and Seth would look at Gunther and ask who this was. He had no idea who was coming out, which, understandable. Seth hasn't had a lot of dealings with Logan Paul, probably just doesn't know his music, but it was very, very funny. Logan Paul would come out and get absolutely destroyed. Not physically, but the crowd showed their disdain for Logan Paul, and I am no Logan Paul fan. Don't ever get that twisted. Not a fan of the guy personally. I just don't like him. Never have. Never, probably never will. But the level of heat he got when he came out wasn't necessarily heat. It was the crowd saying, "Hey, bum, get out of here. We don't want you." Now he's gonna twist it to say it was heel heat, but we all know it wasn't. There aren't a lot of people that really, really want Logan Paul around. And he would also go on to ruin another moment this weekend that we'll talk about on Wednesday. But for this one, let's get back to what he said. He would go on to say that you two think you're special. You two think you command attention because you're good at wrestling. I get this response because I'm good at everything. As he's talking about the booze. This company needs a new face, and neither of you are it. You two have hit your ceiling. Meanwhile, I am still on the floor climbing the stairs. So if there's anything you two need to be worried about, it's the guy who built a WWE career faster than you both. He says he doesn't have to worry about throwing 29 guys over the top at the Rumble. He just has to throw one. And when he wins the Rumble, he will main event Mania, and he could choose Cody Rhodes or he could choose Gunther. Gunther looks at Seth and says, "You know what? I wish you would win. And I wish you would challenge me so I can smack that stupid look off your face." We would get a backstage segment with CM Punk where he would confirm that he is good to go for the Rumble and he is ready. Now, Sami Zayn would come up and say that he is also ready for the Rumble. Very friendly interaction, but with a little animosity behind it. He would walk away and run into Karrion Kross, of all people. Kross has been behind a lot of people turning in the WWE to a darker side of themselves. And he is attempting to do that with Sammy and lets him know that there is more than one way to get what he wants, which is a championship. We would move into the ring with the War Raiders versus the Judgment Day. And they put on a barn burner. That was a great match. JD McDonough gained a lot of respect from me after this match. He performed incredibly. One, and then when you watch it back and know what happened to him after the match, it's incredible. It's amazing to watch him do some of the things he did. He would take a dive off of the top rope over close to the announcer's desk and take a pretty bad bump off of it. Like snap his neck back, and it looked awful. It looked horrible. But he got back up and finished the match and had a couple of crazy spots. It just blows my mind he was able to finish. After the match, we would find out that he broke a couple of ribs and punctured a lung, and he was still doing top rope maneuvers and moonsaults and all kinds of things. It was actually mind-boggling to watch. But the War Raiders were awesome as always. They're my favorite tag team, so, I'm a little biased. I will admit I'm a little biased to the War Raiders, but I think they did a pretty bang up job. Dominic Mysterio and JD make a great pair out of the Judgment Day. I kind of hope that Finn moves into singles action and lets JD and Dom run tag, and then maybe Carlito go for a mid card title. That's the only way I really see everything working out well. But personally, I would rather the Judgment Day implode again. But we're yet to see what's really going on. Finn Balor again wasn't there this week after his match with Damian Priest. So no word on really what's going on. This might be something we hear about tonight. So be on the lookout, open your ears. And if it's happens tonight, I'll be talking about it next week. But this match, I'm going to give a 92 out of 100, which is a 4.6 stars. The War Raiders retain the tag belts, and I'm looking forward to the Raw tag division as it sort of builds itself up. SmackDown tag division has been incredibly successful and has put some teams on the map that weren't quite there, even 6 months ago. So I'm excited for what they're doing with the Raw tag division, and I'm hoping it gets a little bit more of an emphasis here soon. We'd go backstage again with Pete Dunne. Ludwig Kaiser walks up and they talk about the loss to Penta last week. Kaiser says it's about time to show him what this company is about, hinting at a future match with Penta. The New Day walks up to Dunn and Kaiser, and Dunn and Kaiser would walk away disgusted. Kathy Kelly would ask Xavier Woods how he's feeling going into his match with Rey Mysterio after Kofi's loss last week. He says he's Atlanta's favorite son, and he's about to prove to Rey and everyone in that arena that they were right and he is good. We would go into the Rey Mysterio versus Xavier Woods match, and it was better than Kofi's last week. I got to be honest with you. I really expected Kofi's to be better, but after some miscues and I feel like a lot of timing mistakes, it looked bad. It was much better than Kofi's. Woods, I feel like every time I see him in singles competition, I forget that he's actually kind of good. But yeah, he looked good. It was fun. It was a fun match. It, perfectly average match. Ray would be amazing at his age, obviously. The big kicker out of this is Woods said that his family was going to be here and they didn't show up till later. And when he finally noticed his family was there, they were also with Lil Yachty, which was interesting. But he would ask them where they'd been, and they would all take off their coats to reveal the New Day Sucks t-shirts. So even his family has turned against him with this Big E situation. I gave this match a 76 out of 100. It was fun, but it was average. Nothing exciting happened. This isn't something I'm going to remember forever. I'll probably remember that New Day Sucks segment for a little while, but this match was forgettable for sure, but it was entertaining while watching it. So it's not terrible, but not great either. After the match, Rey Mysterio would celebrate with Xavier Woods' family and Little Yachty. So that was pretty funny, to be honest with you. They had an extra shirt and they gave it to Rey, and he would leave the arena wearing a New Day Sucks t-shirt. So that's awesome. Awesome. We go backstage again with Seth and Sami Zayn. Sami would apologize to Seth about the kick last week. Seth said he had a hard time accepting it because of his ties to Roman. But he says they're good and understands this time it was a mistake. But if it happens again, he'll have a harder time understanding it. Jey Uso would then come out to the ring and talk about his loss to Gunther. He says he knows he can beat him and declares his victory for the Royal Rumble. We would then move backstage again with Lyra Valkyria. She declares herself for the Royal Rumble. American Alpha interjects, and Chad tells Lyra that Ivy is coming for that Intercontinental Championship. Lyra tells them both that this is as close as either of them will get to the Intercontinental Championship. American Alpha would walk away and walk up to Alpha Academy doing TikToks. Chad would call them a disgrace before leaving. We would go back out to the ring for Raquel and Liv Morgan versus Naomi and Bianca Belair for a non-title tag team match. Liv and Raquel actually work really well together. We found some new tag teams from the Judgment Day that are good. Obviously, there's only 2 women in the Judgment Day, so they technically have to be a tag team for the Judgment Day if they're going to have a women's tag team. But they worked better together than I remember them doing last time. As you know, they are former tag team champions together, and it was a pretty decent match. Another just average match, like nothing I'm gonna be thinking about next week. Just kind of a whatever, kill time. You get to see these stars and they get to perform and they do really well. It's just what you come to expect on a week to week basis. But the women's tag team division is getting so much better. It's getting thicker in ranks and the teams are getting stronger. I have a hard time believing we will go more than 6 more months before adding a women's tag team championship belt in the mix again. So maybe just on NXT, because NXT has the most tag teams for sure. But there needs to be another one revolving around, because there's some tag teams that could really use some TV time and use a belt around their waist to legitimize a few things for themselves. And just adding another tag team title belt to the roster wouldn't be that bad of an idea, especially on the women's side. The men's side's probably fine. They don't need it. On the women's side, could definitely use one. Dominic Mysterio would come in and distract the referee while Bianca was trying to win the match. She definitely had the 3 count for sure. Frustrated, Bianca would fly out and take out Dom after tagging in Naomi. Raquel would take out Naomi after the distraction and lay Liv over her, who was pretty much lifeless in the ring, and they would get the 3 count, marking Liv Morgan as the winner. The last 2 minutes really saved this from being a boring match. The last 2 minutes, a lot of action happened, and so it made it more of an average match. Before, it was just kind of a snooze fest, which I don't like to say, because these people were putting their bodies on the line and they're working really hard at this, but it just wasn't it, if that makes sense. We would go to Rhea Ripley backstage. She says she is not worried about the winner of the Royal Rumble because mommy always on top. Bailey would interject and say she won last year and won at Mania, and she's looking to do it again. Rhea would wish her luck, and Io Sky would come up behind Rhea and tell Bailey, "See you Saturday." Now, they have a long history together that was never quite fleshed out after Damage Control got moved to Raw. And they're both technically faces now with some animosity between each other. So I don't know if we will ever see them become friends again or even just work together again. We would get a Penta vignette after that announcing his entry to the Royal Rumble. Paul Heyman would come out and announce that Roman Reigns is the cover athlete for 2K25, and he would cut a promo for Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble, saying he's coming for his championship. Drew McIntyre would interject, and this is where things really get interesting. The before stuff with Paul Heyman was mostly just him glazing Roman Reigns and saying he's going to win the Rumble, which he does a good job of that. I'll give him that. Paul does a fantastic job of glazing Roman Reigns. Drew McIntyre would then come out and pretty much tell Paul that the Bloodline should be thanking him for their success, especially Paul Heyman, who he helped crawl out of obscurity because of Roman Reigns' success, putting all of Roman's success on his back. But he wants Paul to tell who he's working for that he's coming for him and he's going to see him at the Rumble. Paul would respond by saying he will let the tribal chief know. Drew says he wasn't talking about the tribal chief. He was talking about CM Punk. So that feud is not over. The anger is still there. They killed it last year with their feud. I don't see them sparking it up anytime soon again, but the animosity and the hatred looms in the background for sure. We'd move into Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn directly after this promo, and they put on a great match. Really, really good match. Very, very close to being match of the night. I would love for them to face off again, and I believe we will. I think, given time, one of them will end up with a championship here. Maybe not soon, but probably within a year. You're right. And we will definitely see them face off once again. Drew would win with a leverage pin on the ropes and attack Sammy right after. So, not really even a point of doing the pin, but yeah, he attacks him right after the match. Cody would come out and help, but Kevin Owens would catch him in the ring. They would fight. Drew McIntyre would get involved again, and Sammy would attempt to hit Drew McIntyre one more time with a haluva kick and hit Cody. Great match. I gave it a 90 out of 100, which is a 4.5. Really good match. I'm going to be honest with you. Really, really good match. Well worth the watch. After the match, Cody Rhodes would cut a promo in the ring, and this is where things really start to heat up. This is where things really start to change. We're seeing a change in Cody Rhodes. He is still the face. He is still the man. But there's an attitude change. People are calling it Homelander Cody. But I'm not sure we're quite there yet. I think this whole situation has just kind of pushed him past his normal limit, and he's living outside of that normal limit that he would usually live in. But we would go to Cody in the ring. He says he's got a great view. He spent the last 39 years, his whole life, all he ever wanted to do was get his hands on that championship. You know what I learned in the last 7 months? I found out that the physical belt doesn't make you a champion. What makes you a champion is a mindset. No one has more matches than me. No one stays as late as I do. He is the champion, and he looks forward to the Royal Rumble where he can move past Kevin Owens and find out who he faces at WrestleMania. CM Punk would enter. And CM Punk is concerned that, hey man, you all right? I realize it's kind of in the delivery, but I'm asking a legitimate question because I'm your friend and I worry about it. It looks to me like all of this is starting to get to you a little bit. I know what all this means. I know what it means to be a champion. Not the Kevin Owens replica one, but a real champion. I was champion for 434 historic days way back when. Somewhere around the 300th day, it started to weigh on me. I started to get burned out, and frankly, it turned me into somebody I didn't enjoy being most days. I lost friends because of that championship. I see you lose friends left and right, and I get it. You want to be Bruno Sammartino. You want to come out here and do it all. You want to put on for your hometown. You want to be Superman. You want to be John Cena. But none of us are Superman. Cody would look at CM Punk and says, I don't have a lot of friends. But you're my friend, right? Punk would go on to say, yes, that's why I'm out here. That's why I'm talking to you right now. I'm not here to rain on your parade. I'm here to be your friend. And unlike anyone else you've surrounded yourself with, I promise you that I will always be your friend. And partly because of a promise I made to your father, but partly because, Cody, I love you. And I see the road that you're on, and it's a road I've traveled in the past. Part of me feels like I've let you down because I couldn't prepare you for this. But the truth is, even your father couldn't have prepared you for this. You are the man, unequivocally on the top of the mountain. There are no friends when you are champion in WWE. You've got a target on your back with the championship belt. Cody would go on to say, please, let's cut through the BS. Last year before the Royal Rumble, we stood in the ring just like we're standing now, and you had a prediction that had a lot of truth. So tell me, friend, tell me, what's next for me? Punk says, okay, I'll tell you what's next for you in the short term. You're in your hometown. You get to sleep in your own bed tonight. And that's rare in this business, especially when you're running as hard as you are. But I bet you're not going to sleep at all because the chances are you got an early call time and you're going to be doing media and promotion for what is the biggest match of your entire career, the Royal Rumble against Kevin Owens. Maybe you don't have an early call time. You get to enjoy some time with your wife and daughter, but you're not going to be sleeping much anyways because you're going to be thinking about the biggest match of your career. Look at the title, Cody. That means something to a guy like you and me. If you make it past Kevin Owens, one of the toughest SOBs in the locker room, a little bit crazy, a little bit deranged, but somebody who used to be your friend, you're going to go into it too emotional. If you make it past him, well, then there's next Raw, then there's next SmackDown, and we're on Netflix, and it's bigger than ever. You're the poster boy, and that's what you asked for. You're spreading yourself thin, no matter how early the mornings or how late the nights. That's what's in store for you. Less time at home with your daughter, less time at home with your wife, empty nights, ironically, and sold out stadiums chanting your name, because that means something to guys like you and me. Look at all these little kids out here wearing your merchandise. When you're crossing the country, your bus draped in the red, white, and blue, somebody is going to be busting their tail chasing you. Somebody is going to get into the best shape of their life. Somebody is going to win the Royal Rumble, and they're going to see you in the main event of WrestleMania. And while you're on the way down there, they're on the way up reaching for you. And that is the good news. Cody says, then please tell me what is the bad news. Punk says, the bad news is that somebody is me. Unlike these other people, your friends stabbing you in the back, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble and I'll see you in the main event of WrestleMania because I'm your one true friend and I'm going to stab you in the front. Cody would say, I respect you for telling me that. And I want to share something with you from when I first came into the whole wrestling ecosphere. I first showed up on OVW and I met you. We were the only ones wanting to learn arm drags and head scissors from Greg. You were the man, the chick magnet, CM Punk. Everyone wanted to be you. We were chasing you. You became world heavyweight champion, and I followed you soon after the roster. I was chasing you then. There's a whole 10-year period, a 10-year period where you sat on your couch and some of your peers were still chanting your name and still chasing you. That dynamic has shifted because of your prediction last year. One thing you certainly got wrong, the dynamic of this relationship has completely changed. And you know why I'm not chasing you. You're chasing me. I hope you win the Royal Rumble. I hope you win because I want you to. Punk would respond by, there's a graveyard full of careers of people that wanted me to catch up with them until I did. Cody would say, I want you to catch up. I want you to win the Royal Rumble, and I hope it's you because I want to see the look on your face when you find out that the best of the world isn't the best anymore. And that is how we would end the episode. Extremely dramatic, and we are in a new era of Cody Rhodes. He is no longer the goody two-shoes boy anymore. He is shifting into something completely different. For the match of the night last week, we had the War Raiders versus the Judgment Day. Incredible match, and it really helps knowing what happened after the match. That makes it honestly even better in my opinion. But great match. Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn coming very, very close behind. Tonight we are left somewhat in the dark about what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of fallout from the Rumble. I really don't know what we're going to get tonight. They didn't announce anything last week, but I am looking forward to it. I do love every now and then when there's a night of question, when there's a night of I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm looking forward to it tonight. I hope you are as well if you can watch it. If not, I will catch you back here next week for in case you missed it wrestling. I'm your host, Blackhawk, signing off for Monday Night Raw. I will see you tomorrow for NXT.